Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Had a really busy day yesterday. Had my first coon sighting. Now, I'm going to show this little clip with you guys. These animals, a lot of them come out at night. They come out different times of the year. But this was my first coon sighting. Typically, what you'll see with these animals is they come out almost at the exact same time every night. So you can kind of anticipate them. Let's take a look. Look at this guy. So weird. And then I had this sighting, my new friendly cat. I don't know what happened to the orange cat. But look at this really cool little cat. Now that's a new video. He's come back several times now. Not sure what to do. Also had a hognose sighting, hognose snake. I did not get that on video. I tried. But the coon sighting is a little bit concerning because it's the first one that I've seen since I've been here. And the neighbors had to put down a rabid raccoon just a few weeks ago. So I got to keep an eye on this guy, make sure he's not acting weird. He seems to be acting pretty normal. And so, just keep an eye on him. I want to get you guys updated on the house projects first, and then we'll get into Felicity, California. I guess that appeared, a couple of survivors, abuse survivors appeared on Joe Rogan from Felicity, and they were talking all about the Rothschilds and all this stuff. So I decided to do a deep dive on Felicity, California. Now, it is on the border of California and Arizona. Some people believe it's in Arizona, but it's actually in California, best I can tell anyways. But I wanted to share some of the updates on what I was doing on Friday, why we didn't have a show. There was a lot to get caught up on. Let's take a look, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff today.
Lots of projects today, you guys. I want to go over the projects I did today. Gosh, what a day. Now, thanks to Rose, who said that this brown paper bag will keep the hornets away. I'll never have to buy another can of wasp spray for the rest of my life. Now, thanks, Rose. Let's see if this works. She says this resembles a murder hornet, which all wasps and hornets are deathly afraid of, and that essentially when you put just a regular brown paper bag up, that it will scare them off. This is good because then I don't have to kill the hornets, because I guess they have a lot of good things. They should be other places out in the forest, not over here scaring me off the deck.
So yeah, I guess wasps and hornets are actually pollinators. So if you can just scare them away without having to kill them, that's probably the best option. But it's really hard to do. So we're going to see if this works.
So that was one project today. Really busy day. Then I had to level this thing because it just wasn't working. It's pretty good now. It's not perfect, but at least it opens and closes and it latches.
That was one of the projects that I did myself. I made this cabinet to cover up the meter, and then I stained it. And this is all red oak here. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done.
What else is going on? You probably can't hear me very well. I've got the stick on. Oh, here's another project I did. Check this out. Voila! I put on gutter guards. Thanks to all of you that suggested that I do gutter guards, because it's going to save me a lot of trouble. Now, in certain places I could not put the gutter guards because it doesn't make any sense. I'll show that to you now, but this makes sense because all I have to do is take the blower and blow everything off when I need to. And that will make everything great. These are already working, and I'm really happy that I put them up. What else is going on the Honey Milk Ranch? Well, let me show you where I was not able to put gutter guards, and for good reason. See how the roof comes together here? Well, because that, I have to have that stick in there, which actually has a toilet scrubber tied to the end of it that I pull through at least once every couple weeks. I just pull it right through. I pull it back this way, and then I remove all of the debris that builds up here. Now I've got to be careful because...
So there's the stick I'm talking about. It's a really long stick. I attached like a bunch of sticks together. And at the end of it, I tied a toilet scrubber. And then all I got to do is move this thing back and forth, and it clears the debris that, as you can see, builds up between these two roofs coming together.
See that there? I've got to be careful because I just had a hog nose snake sighting. He was right here. He was hissing. He actually started out back here. I saw him when I walked out my door. He was back here. And he's probably chasing little mice that have been eating toilet paper and making nests. And I think that the mice are getting in here. This has like become their home down here in this tube or something. And it's attracting the snakes. So the snakes are doing their job. And of course, a hognose is a non-venomous snake. So I'm happy that I have the hognose. But I tried to get them on camera only to realize my GoPro was acting really weird. I think it was out of batteries. So I had to charge the GoPro. Then I dropped it, broke the mount. Then I had to go on to YouTube and try to figure out how to fix my GoPro Hero Plus. It's one of the old GoPros. And there's a way to glue a new mount on. So that's what I'm using now. So anyway, long story short, when this snake first came out, you know, of course, my worst fear, I'm thinking, oh, it's a cottonmouth. But it wasn't. It was a hognose, and it hissed at me and flattened its head and took a defensive posture. Cottonmouths, when they go into defensive posture, they open their mouths super wide, and their mouth is like all white inside. That's why they call them cottonmouths. But for this particular snake, he hisses, and then if you mess with him for too long, he'll actually play dead and roll around and pretend like he's dying or something, like you killed him. So, and the hiss on this thing was crazy. I wish I would have got it on video, but he was like right here. By the time I went and grabbed my camera, he had traveled from there to here. And then he was underneath here. And then when I walked up to him, he pretty much started hissing and went to defensive posture. They don't really run away, they just go into defensive posture. Then I realized I had a big hole over here. So what did I have to do? I had to put more rock there, and this rock is not light. So I basically had to get I was like, I don't have a wheelbarrow, what am I gonna do? Well, if you don't have a wheelbarrow, this is a redneck wheelbarrow. It's a bucket with a dolly. That's a redneck wheelbarrow. I didn't even bother strapping it on. I just was real careful. And I guess you could say I'm turning into a redneck, which is a good thing. Rednecks are cool. I realized it. A redneck are going to be the people who are going to survive the apocalypse. So I filled all this up with gravel because I think that the hognose was living under the house. Now, don't be sad because he has another way out. Because the house drops off here, he could easily just slither out this way, right? But he's literally under the deck, not the house. The house is sealed because I didn't want anything crawling under my house. Because growing up, I had nightmares that one day I would live in a house and there would be snakes all underneath the house, crawling into the walls and stuff. So I don't want that to happen. So he can get out, but it's going to make his life a little less comfortable. He's going to think twice about living under here and coming into my garage until I can get that garage framed, because I really need to get that garage framed in, those doors in. And then all of this will be for naught because they will stay out of the garage. But it is what it is. And what else did I do today? It was a busy day, you guys. I put these covers on. These covers here. Now, weirdly, I went to go put these covers on and found out that there was water dripping back into my house on all of these units. Why? because they pitched the drain pipe incorrectly. The drain pipe was pitched back into the house, and apparently there's no seal on the pipe. It's just gravity flow, and if it's pitched wrong, it'll just dump right back into the wall, which is what it was doing. So fortunately, I was able to go in. I had to actually take a saw, make the hole bigger. I had to saw down very carefully because there's wires and copper lines and all kinds of other stuff coming out of here, and I had to cut it down below and then pull the drain pipe down so that it will drain out, and I fixed it. I did it for all 3 units. Then I installed this, whatever you call this cover, which makes it look a little bit nicer, I guess. I mean, who cares? It's a cabin, but better than before. So I'm very pleased with these mini splits. They took a little tweaking. Like I said, I had to fix all these problems. Whoever installed it incorrectly, and I know who installed it, but I'm not going to call him out. It wasn't Ben. Ben actually tried to help fix the problem. And I've got these rubber mounts. The units are all quiet. This is the only one I left on the wall, but I did put the rubber mounts on it. And then, what else did I do today? Well, I had to grab the gravel from over there, and I put some more over here too, so I can make my one turn to get out of the driveway. Now, these units are absolutely silent now, but when I went to go open this unit here, this cover, there was a hornet nest in there, and one hornet, but he was dead. But I was so freaked out, I started spraying him, but he was already dead. So then I went over to this unit, and I'm on that ladder. I open the cover, and there's a hornet on a nest under that cover, and he was shocked because it was right under there. He was shocked at first. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And it was like overcast earlier, so he was like out of it because they slow down when it gets overcast. Then I put the cover down here. He like rolled over and flew away. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Now he's going to come back and attack me as I'm trying to finish the project. And that's exactly what he did. He was burnt out because I essentially was up there messing up his home. So I'm on the ladder. Next thing you know, I hear a zzz like this, and he's coming at me, and I'm in flip-flops. I know, you guys, I need muck boots. I need to get them, but they're just shockingly expensive, and I don't want to spend $100 right now on muck boots. I'm probably going to regret that, but it is what it is. Ooh, what is that? Bug sighting. There's so many critters here. It's kind of cool. Look at this guy. What are you? Ooh, ooh, look at him. Ooh. Ooh. Anyway, I don't know what that is. And essentially, I got down just in time and almost ate it, because look at this. Not good, you guys. I know. I'm trying to figure all this out. There's a lot of work. So, needless to say, this is why I didn't upload anything today. I'm working on this project, and there's all these little things that have to happen to at least get it to working order or whatever, you know. So, luckily I got that fixed. And there's rag stuffed in there. There's no holes going in the wall. Hopefully a hornet won't climb all the way down here to try to hang a nest. I wouldn't think he would do that. But if he does want to try that, I will have to fill that space too with some, I don't know, what do you guys think? Steel wool, I've heard different things. Stick something down in there. The steel wool would probably work because the drain hose is inside here, so I can't plug it up too good. I'm gonna have to plug it up with something that they can't climb through, but that will let the water come out. So everything's fixed. Gosh, God is good, isn't he? I was a little intimidated. I was gonna call the heating and air guy back, but that can get expensive, and Ben helped me troubleshoot it over the phone, and I said, I can do this. I can cut a hole and make this drain pipe come down a bit and change the pitch. I can do this. And I just decided that I was going to do it. I prayed about it. God has been so good, and I knew that he wouldn't let me down, and he helped me execute it. Even had the chance to try out my new stove with these peanut butter Nutella cookies with chocolate. There was a little bit of Nutella left. They're mostly peanut butter. And then I had a valve cover gasket leak. I went in to look at my valve covers and... Ooh, squirrel. I went to turn the screws and they were so loose you could turn them with your hand. So I was like, oh boy. He just fell off. Look at it. I've never seen a squirrel fail before. They're not very scared. Kind of. So I had to degrease, tighten, and assess the valve cover gasket situation, and hopefully it'll be good. Ooh, bumblebee. What's he doing? Oh, don't go in the house. Land so we can look at you. Better close this door before he comes inside. And that was my day today. And thank the Lord for everything that he provides in this life. If you're faithful, God will give you the things that you wish for, because God is good. Sometimes it takes commitment, and sometimes it doesn't feel like you're getting ahead, and other times you just feel like you want to give up. But just believe that God does want good things in your life. It might not be the thing that you think it is. You know, there are some people that wish for a $5 million house in California. That might not be what God wants for you. But maybe if you set your sights on something that is God-based or God-centered, like a little cabin in the woods like this one, maybe God will grant that wish. And here comes the neighbors. Love these neighbors. Almost everybody waves, and here I am in my underwear again. Everybody waves. And they're glad and happy that they have a new neighbor and someone to talk to and fellowship with. Tomorrow I'm going to try to make it over to this wonderful couple, move to this area, go hang out with them, and Jay plays guitar. We'll have a good time. But I will report back to you guys whether or not this bag trick works. I have faith. I know that Rose has tried it before. Every day, especially when it gets hot, they will come around here, all these paper wasps. They come right up under these eaves and they fly around. Not too many anymore like before, but some. And let's see if it scares them off. Look at this cool spider. That's just a daddy long leg. You're on camera, buddy. I love each and every one of you. And as soon as things dry out a little bit more, ooh, something dropped on me. I have to get after that. I can actually see the cat schools or something on the roof, but there is actually a foam gutter guard up there. The old gutter guards that they had. And my contractor's like, take those out. All those are going to do is collect dirt. And the water just can't get through that foam fast enough, especially in a hard rain. He goes, you're better off with the mesh ones. But he goes, I wouldn't even put those on, but I did anyway. But as you can see, there is a bunch of those tassels in there on top, and I need to get those blown off with the blower with my new redneck blower, and hopefully I'll be able to reach all the way from down there and blow those off. So this is one day in the life of the Honey Milk Ranch, and I love each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll let you know when I get another critter sighting. I kind of want that hognose to come back so I can you know, check him out, because I had the camera in his face and he was hissing. He was so upset. He didn't strike, and I hear when I read, I guess they strike without opening their mouth, so they'll like hit you with their head, but they won't actually bite you. I don't want to find out, but look at that beautiful grass starting to come in. Rose has a bunch of manure, so I'm going to grab the trailer and just fill up as much as she'll give me. Grab some fruit trees. We're going to have a barbecue. Maybe we'll record that and share with you guys the wonderful friends and people that there are out here, and we'll check out her farm. I love each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care and be safe.
Cool. So thanks for watching the update there on the Honey Milk Ranch. Now we'll get into some headlines today, and also we're going to dip into Felicity, which is what they're billing as the center of the earth. We'll go into Google Earth. We can check that out as well. That'll be really cool. And but check this out, you guys. This is a weird story. Stories like this make me scratch my head. This is out of AP. By now, you've probably all heard the multi-murder plot. The Idaho jury convicts Lori Vallow Daybell in murders of 2 children and romantic rival. Now, of course, they are basically showing this woman as some kind of truther. And this is the part where it makes me scratch my head, because what they're doing here is character assassination on the truth community with stories like this. It makes you wonder if the story is even real. And basically, they like to lead with stories like this or create them out of thin air so that they can paint our entire community with a broad brush. Now, apparently, this woman, like I read in the beginning, killed her 2 children and I think another woman, like a romantic rival. This is her here. Let's flip through some of these pictures. Now, this is a spooky story. This is out of Idaho. Now, Idaho is a place where a lot of free-thinking people move to. And in this article, they are basically billing this person as some kind of crazy lunatic fringe truther is what they're billing her as. Okay. And every time they talk about this story, they basically always focus on this woman's belief system. Beliefs that match some of the stuff that we've been talking about on this channel, like the zombie apocalypse, also demonic possession, the last days, of course, and they even mentioned the 144,000 elect. Now, I'm not going to read the gruesome details of this case because it's pretty spooky, but it's almost too sensational to believe. And what is the takeaway from this? Well, understand that these demons know that the end times will be a certain way, that certain things are going to transpire. They know exactly what this is going to look like. And so what do? They mock and mimic God's people to try and attach evil to it so that nobody's prepared when these things actually come to pass. We can all recount different things in the past that they try to pin on people to make them look crazy, right? One particular example is UFOs. They would always say, oh, this person believed in UFOs, and that was supposed to discredit them. And then now they're like revealing that the UFOs have some truth to them. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And this talk here of cults and things like this. Now, her defense, she is saying, oh, I was a victim of a cult leader. Another gentleman who was basically trying to control her. And basically they're saying she's blaming it on him. But she was actually convicted. Now, what do these demons do? Well, my guess is this is some kind of satanic cult, and they're masquerading as a truth cult, right? Because this is what the demons like to do. This is what Satan does to mock God's people, to try to attach evil to it, right? And we've seen this kind of gaslighting even on this channel, haven't we? We've had droves of trolls come through, almost like a troll army. And when I'm not looking, right? When I'm presenting or something and they're in the chat just going off with all kinds of troll-like behavior. We also have seen New Agers come in. They know this is a Christian channel and we don't believe in New Age. And then they come into the comments section and leave a bunch of New Age comments, right? Or we'll be live and sometimes the count will get stuck on 666 and it'll stay that way, won't it? And everybody knows that what's happening, right? It's not that 666 people are watching. There's probably 10 times that many, but they'll put that on there, and that's supposed to scare people away or try to attach evil to something that's good. So just because the people in this story believe the things that we covered doesn't invalidate the discoveries, because they themselves are demon possessed. They're part of the bad side, the dark side. They'd have to be if they're taking out children and stuff. I mean, this story is sick. Now, this lady was crazy. She called herself a sex goddess, and she was doing everybody, literally, and saying that she was part of the 144,000, was supposed to bring about the return of Christ and all this stuff. And none of this sounds biblical at all. It sounds more like a satanic cult masquerading as a truth community, right? Because they knew that through that sacrifice, it would bring negative light to some of these revelations. And I believe that that's what they did. Now, you guys, I've seen some crazy stuff here on YouTube. And even on this channel, people come to the channel, say they're Christians, and they start talking about tarot cards and astrology. Those things are forbidden by the Bible. So, this is why you got to stay on your toes and stay on the straight and narrow. And I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen also people masquerading as truthers, friend requesting me on my Facebook, and then you go to their Facebook and there's literally pictures of demons all over their Facebook page. So evil is real. There are people that place curses on people. They cast spells. And since we're in the last days, of course, Satan is pulling out all the stops. Now, let's move on to this next story. Now, this is kind of funny. This is a real snapping turtle. And it looks like this boy needs to get on the treadmill, right? Look at this. I've never seen an obese snapping turtle before. His name is Chunk. Let's read about Chunk the snapping turtle. This is funny. Giant snapping turtle in Chicago, of all places, has become an internet sensation. Oh, it's the Chicago River. Chunkosaurus, spotted by a Windy City resident sunbathing in the Chicago River, is gaining internet popularity. Great to see this beast thriving here on what was once a toxic river, but is slowly getting cleaned up and restored. This reminds me of that story Alligator that we covered, the movie Alligator. Remember that? Where basically the alligator grows to crazy proportions because of the toxic sewers. So this is Chunk. I guess he's eaten up all of the toxicity out of the river, and now he's grown into a giant reptile. Look at this. This is crazy. I can't even believe this. He looks like what does he look like? I don't know what he looks like. It looks like two croissants, doesn't it? Wow. Anyway, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Let me check in with you guys. We'll get into some of the rest of these stories, and then we'll get into Felicity. Now, if you haven't heard, ringworm is back in the news. 2 cases of drug-resistant ringworm infections found in the U.S. Now, apparently this is a pretty big deal because there's no drugs to treat it, and you can probably die from this. Let's read about this. 2 cases of highly contagious drug-resistant ringworm infections have been detected in New York City. The first such cases reported in the U.S. The infection was first identified in a 47-year-old woman who had developed a bad case of ringworm known as tinea. Wow. The infection was first identified, I already read that part, while traveling in Bangladesh. So she got it in Bangladesh. A rash had erupted across most of her body, and typical antifungal creams did nothing to alleviate it. So, what is this? Well, this is the fungus apocalypse that we've been talking about for a few years now, haven't we? How our body's immune systems are no longer working correctly because of something that the controllers did. So here's another aspect of it. Ringworm. My radar went up immediately, said Dr. Avron Kaplan, an assistant professor of dermatology. The woman's infection turned out to be caused by a relatively new species of ringworm causing fungus called Trichophyton Indotine. Over the past decade, infections from this drug-resistant fungus have spread rapidly in South Asia, likely driven by the overuse of medications to treat them. Wow, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Now, of course, it's just a few cases, but this thing could spiral out of control. Now, this next political story is interesting because the cat's out of the bag. There has been a shift in the energy plan for the United States, and it's all come about as Biden has been trying to push his electric kingdom. Now, I think this is all by design. They already knew there wasn't going to be enough of a power grid to support all of this. They already knew that, and they already knew that they were going to make a bunch of nuclear power plants. They already knew this. And anything these people already know or they plan to do, I don't trust. Okay? Because why are they just figuring this out now? After decades and decades of shaming people who don't want to buy an electric car, making us sound like we don't care about the environment, and now all of a sudden the grid can't handle the electric kingdom. So they're admitting it, you guys. So what's next? Well, already one nuclear power plant in Georgia has opened, and there will likely be many, many more. The article talks about power outages reaching an all-time high in 2020. And they're saying it's because of major climate-fueled weather disasters, but what they're not telling you is it's because a bunch of people got forced to stay home during the pandemic, didn't they? Wow. Meanwhile, the shift to electric vehicles and a push to switch other types of energy demand to electricity is expected to boost U.S. power consumption by 12% to 22% between 2021 and 2030. So they're talking about reliability concerns. So they're essentially telling you that our future will be a future of blackouts and unreliable energy. At the same time, they're getting rid of alternative power sources so that essentially we will be in the dark with no options. So this is what's going on. Now, what else do we have going on here? Here's a weird story. This guy shot his girlfriend because she got an abortion. Now, of course, this is supposed to make the conservatives look crazy, right? And because this woman could not get an abortion in the state of Texas, she went to Colorado, got the abortion, came back. The boyfriend confronted her and apparently pulled out a gun and shot her. Now, this guy's African American. Here's the picture that they provided. What a weird picture. They said it was provided by the authorities. But this is supposed to make it look like, oh, because she traveled to Colorado to get the abortion and this guy's crazy, you know, we shouldn't make abortion illegal. This is what this story is about out of USA Today. Now, let's get into Felicity, California. Several of you asked me to look at this. A couple of you in the show this morning. This is a weird place. Apparently, this was on Joe Rogan. And there were a couple of abuse survivors that had come onto the show. Now, I'm just going off of what you guys told me. And we're talking about how they escaped from this place, Felicity, California. Now, I don't know if that is a true story. I always wonder about abuse survivors unless you have definitive proof, like a picture with someone or something like this. It's really tough because there are a lot of gaslighting survivors out there that are, you know, coming forward for the wrong reason or not real to discredit the other ones. And so I can't validate those stories on Joe Rogan. But we'll do our own deep dive into this place, which is called the center of the world. So I pulled up some information on this. Look at these cryptic pictures. This looks like something out of Epstein Island, doesn't it? You got pyramids. This is out in the middle of the desert, you guys. Green grass. You got lawns. You've got alignments going on here. We're going to get into some of this. We're going to go into Google Earth, pull this up as well. But By all appearances, this seems to be some kind of occult site, sitting at the center of the world, or so the builder says. Now, here's the builder here. They don't really show a picture of him, but his name is Jacques-André Estelle. I believe he's French. Yes, he's French. He's in his 90s right now. They don't know exactly how old he is because they won't tell us his birthday, but he's either 93 or 94. And apparently, he built this site decades ago in the 1980s. Now, what makes me suspicious about all this is that this guy just self-proclaimed that this was the center of the world and built this elaborate site, which appears to possibly have underground tunnels or something. It's got outbuildings, all kinds of weird stuff that don't make any sense out in the middle of a desert. A lot of money was brought to bear to build this place. It's actually named after his wife, Felicity. So, what makes me skeptical about this guy, not to mention, in addition to all the money he spent on this, is that he's done lots of lectures at Harvard, MIT, Yale, Princeton, West Point. Now, how did this guy gain popularity over his lifetime? Well, he is basically credited with making parachuting mainstream in America. So all the people that go out skydiving, it's because this guy set it up. He's actually into the technology of parachutes and has made a lot of advancements in parachute technology. And this is what he's known for. So in the 1980s, he decided he was going to build the center of the world. Now, what else makes me suspicious about this guy is he wrote a children's book called The Good Dragon at the Center of the World. What? Now this is weird because look at the pages inside this book. Here, let's get this here so you guys can see this better. A children's book. Now I might get my hands on this book and see if I can find anything in here. But right on its face, in the pages of the book, you see an Ouroboros, a dragon eating its own tail. Now, I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. Look at that. Dragons eating their tails. That's the Ouroboros. It is the symbol of Satan in a children's book. Wow. Now, let's look at some of these other images here. Apparently, this is him and his wife. Here you see the Alpha and the Omega symbol, which is the false. It's Apollo, right? Apollo is the false Alpha Omega. The Most High is the true Alpha Omega. Notice how nowhere in here do they mention God, right? Now look at this crazy place. There's all these red granite stones, step pyramids, and let's read about the site first. Then I'll take you guys into Google Earth and we'll break this down a little bit further. Let me make sure you guys are with me here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel today. Let's read about this site here. Everything you need to know about Felicity, the center of the world. In the middle of the Sonoran Desert near California's border with Mexico and Arizona sits the town of Felicity, which contains the center of the world. Those who visit can enter a 21-foot tall pink granite pyramid and stand on top of a metal plaque that officially marks the spot that is the center of the world. While recognized as such by both California's Imperial County and France's Institut Géographique National, the designation doesn't stem from science or a specific historical event, but rather from the imagination and subsequent endeavors of its founder, Jacques-André Estelle. A French-American, Estelle has a varied background working on Wall Street and serving as a Marine in the Korean War before becoming well known for being a famous parachutist. He co-founded Parachutes Inc., the country's first parachuting school, and is often credited with bringing parachuting to the American mainstream Estelle had a habit of purchasing land, and in the 1950s, he bought 2,600 acres in the Sonoran Desert. I told my wife, I don't know what I'm going to do with this bare land, but it has to be entertaining. It wasn't until the 1980s that he decided he wanted to build a town and have that town recognized as the center of the world. Wow, look at that pyramid. Estelle then decided that the first step to making this a reality was to write a children's book. My problem was that laws are logical and my concept lacked logic. Answer: find something no one argues about, he said. Estelle reasoned that no one argues with a children's book. Who argues with the fairy tale? Wow. And then he wrote that book that I showed you, Ko, the Good Dragon at the Center of the World. He convinced Imperial County to legally recognize the area on his land as the official spot of the center of the world, and he established the town in 1986, naming it Felicity after his wife. Wow. So, here's the chapel on the hill. Second structure to be built, along with the accompanying hilltop, so that the church could be the highest point in Felicity. I'm not particularly religious. Wow. But if you're going to build a house of God, it's got to be on the highest spot. So, he's right there admitting he doesn't believe in religion. I mean, I don't believe in the structure of religion either, but I am a Christian. But he did not state that, did he? The 25-foot spiral staircase is actually from the Eiffel Tower. Wow. So he's got basically the serpent wrapped around the pole here. Another structure on the property. Museum of History in granite. Estelle's ongoing project is the Museum of History in granite. He has placed a series of triangular granite blocks in Felicity, which he is having the history of the world inscribed. The panels include everything that he deems worthy of telling future generations. So this is kind of a time capsule of sorts, isn't it? So that is Felicity, Arizona. Now, let's go ahead and go into Google Earth and see what's going on with this place. Let me fix the screen for you guys so you guys can see. Okay, cool. So, this is it here. And look at this. So this place opened in 86 or was established in 86. And here you have a 6-pointed star or 6-pointed pathways going to these, I don't know what these are these cabins? And then you have an 8-pointed star. So I wonder if this stands for 8 and 6, the year that it opened, right? 8 and 6. Then you've got all these, this I guess this is the Granite Museum. So these are these granite pyramidal walls that you walk along, and it's got all of the different significant points in history. Now, as far as I can tell, this is a north-south alignment. I think this is the chapel on the hill. I think that's it. It's probably got to be. Elevation 315 feet. And this elevation, yes, this is lower. So this must be the chapel on the hill. Now, something just struck my eye here. You can probably see it too. Let me zoom this over so you can see this a little bit better. Look at this. What do you see there? I see something evil. This looks like the snake has eaten the chapel on the hill. Can you see it? I see it as clear as day. Let's go back into the chat and see if you guys can see this, and then I'll outline it for you if you can't see it. Wow. Good morning. Let's see. Let's go into the chat, make sure everything's good. You guys see that? You see the snakehead eating the chapel? You guys see it. I'll outline it for those that can't see it. All right, let's go in here and check this out. Let's see if we can do this. All right. So here's the tongue of the snake. I'll just start with his head. So this is the head of the snake here. Head of the snake. And then he eats the chapel. He slithers around. Okay, so we're just outlining this. In case you can't see this. And then he becomes the road, right? Goes all the way around here. Now I'm going to cut the road off here and just complete the image on the other side. But look at this. And this would connect here. Can you see the snake eating the chapel? Now, interestingly, the chapel, all right, so now you can see it. Now let me make it a little bit thicker so you can see it a little bit better. And I'll put it in yellow. Okay, so now you can see the image there. Look at that. Now I'm going to mess with the opacity so you can see it even better. Wow. So the interesting thing is if you look at the actual chapel, it's enclosed in a hexagon. So it's the hex on God, because the devil rules this world, doesn't he? So the enemy has put a hex around it. That's just spooky. Let's zoom in. It's actually an octagon. Yeah, it's an octagon. So the cube. Hexes and cubes are essentially the same thing. Hex is a three-dimensional cube. Cube is, of course, 8. Look at this. And then the tongue of the serpent slithers down here. It's literally like the tongue coming out. And this whole thing is on a platform. Let's see if we can see that. It's literally on top of like what appears to be a step pyramid. See how this is raised? Let's see if we can get a viewpoint of this here. See how this whole thing is raised up? So the serpent's literally on a step pyramid. I mean, this can't be good. What is this guy thinking? Obviously, we know what he's thinking. Now, it almost appears as though there's some kind of, maybe some underground structures. Let's take a look here. Look at that. Yeah, that's on some kind of step pyramid. Then we have the 8-pointed star. There's another pyramid down here. 2 other buildings. I don't know if these are ponds or trees. I can't really tell. There, of course, is a checkerboard. The chess pieces. This is 8 by 8 squares, so this is a chessboard. Wow. Here's probably the serpent wrapped around the pole that we saw. The staircase from the Eiffel Tower looks like that's probably what this is here. Now, what is the chessboard about? Well, this is how they keep us all locked in duality. This is why I talk to you guys so much about the right-left paradigm and not getting stuck in thinking that these leaders have your best interest at heart. It's great to have conservative values and morals, but to think that the people at the top actually have your best interests at heart is not the case. They all work for the enemy. And when we vote, we give consent. So I don't know what these buildings are, but this is kind of weird too. Let's see if we can zoom out and get a better aerial of this. Maybe there are other clues here. Right off the main highway, it appears. Let's zoom this snake out. What a weird place. Wonder what the name Felicity means. Was this the parking lot for it? Looks like some kind of, oh, that's an RV park across from there. So I bet people that go there probably go to the RV park and then visit this place. But look at the snake there. How creepy is that? On the top of the hill. The serpent is crowned. It's almost like the church is on top of his head. Like crowned. The crowned serpent. Wow, this is everything we've been talking about, you guys. Because through the false Babylonian church, that's how they will deceive the world. That's how they will usher in the Antichrist. Huh. Now, as always, I like to go back in time. You can go back in time on these places and see the progression of things. So let's do that. Whoa, like for instance, what is that? Whoa, this must have just been added. This says 2023. This was not there in the original image. But look at the maze here. There's a maze. Whoa. With 3 circles. See if anything else has changed. These look like diamonds, almost. Let's go back in time a little bit longer. Felicity. Zoom out a little bit. What a weird place. I wonder what this symbol is. Is this Babylonian? This almost looks like Ishtar almost, doesn't it? Looks Babylonian for sure. Okay, so we're just going back through time. Sometimes it had grass, sometimes it didn't. Now we're back in 2017. 2017. Let's keep going back in time here. 2015. Okay, the maze was not there in 2015, so that must have been pretty new. See if they see anything weird. Then I'll be back into the chat in a minute, you guys. Going back in time. The snake, the crowned serpent at the top of the hill, who rules false religion, Babylon. Oh, I don't really see anything else. Ooh, what's that? That's creepy. What are those rows of holes dug out here? Now, the first thing that comes to mind is a mass grave, but I don't think these people would be that obvious. I mean, it's right there, off a few yards off of the beaten path there. But it does seem to... Let's go back through time. Maybe I missed it the first couple times. Okay, so it looks like those were there the whole time. They're all parallel. Could be some kind of... see if there's a better image of it. See those vertical lines? Okay, so that's probably nothing. I mean, unless you've been there and you know what those are, we're not going to make any assumptions. Here's a much clearer picture here. Let's zoom in. Just looks like things are dug out. They almost look like they're digging them out for a grave or something, which would be about the size that you would put some of a grave, right? Looks like about the size of a human. It's about 6 feet. That's just weird. All right, let's keep going back in time here. See if we can see something. The Where's Waldo of Felicity, California. Now, I'm not sure about the Rothschild connections to this. I know that was mentioned on Joe Rogan. Let's keep going back in time. 2014. Let's go way back in time. 2011. There they are again. Look how creepy that is. Does anyone know what those are? I'll go back in the chat in a minute. What is that? Seems to be there since the beginning. Oh, look at this. Under construction. Let's zoom out. So this looks like the early construction of it. Wasn't done yet. This was 2008. So apparently this thing has been around for a very, very long time, since the 80s, but they've been working on it forever. So let's see if we can look through these years, 2008 and before, and see if anything emerges. Sometimes it's the process of construction, isn't it? Okay, got that. Let's go back. So creepy. Now, to build a pyramid like that, this is massive. I'll measure it in a second here. The thing that the church is sitting on top of is massive. Let's take a look here. I'll measure it here in a second. Look at this. Okay, we're back to 2005. And we're starting to run out of data here. 2002. Okay, so in 1996, that pyramid wasn't there. They had to move a lot of earth to put that mound there. I guess we'll call it a mound. It's probably a better description of it. Let's measure this mound and see exactly how big it is. It looks like it's really tall too, at least 20 feet tall. And this thing is, how many yards? This is 100 yards across. So it's an entire football field of dirt that they moved at the base of this thing. 111 yards. And it's actually longer than it is wider. So it looks like it's 141 yards on its length. So, weird times, you guys. Okay, let's turn off the history and we're back to the original image. Let me go back into the chat, see what your guys' thoughts are on this. Good morning, everybody. Apollo's arrow facing the chapel, opposite view to your snake. Huh. Apollo's arrow. Opposite view of the snake. Apollo's arrow. This almost looks like a sword, doesn't it? See this central thing right here? That looks like the handle of a sword and the sword going down. I mean, you could probably read all sorts of things into this, but I don't see Apollo's arrow, though. I don't see that in here. Unless I'm missing it. Wow. All right. Good morning, everybody. Burial site for them. Ooh, yeah. I mean, people might want to be, buried at the center of the world, right? Maybe that's what this is all about. Let's just look up burial sites just just to see. Burial site, Felicity. Felicity. California. Doesn't say anything about burial sites. But, hey, we've seen stranger things, right? Remember Trump buried his ex-wife in the golf course? And then he went to the golf course in Scotland with a shovel. And I'm like, who's he going to bury next in that golf course? Wow. So you're probably wondering, where does that point? Well, since it's orientated north-south, it will point to the North Pole and then double back on itself. So, yeah, definitely appears to be the crowning of the serpent. That's what I'm thinking it's really about. Center of circle Earth. Look up JFK's burial site. Yeah, we did a video on that. It's a giant Q from the sky. And apparently JFK died on or near Trump's 17th year of life, which is the letter Q. We did a whole decode on that. I think it's actually aligned to 66 degrees as well, but you'll have to check that out. Oh, is it on the 33rd parallel? Let's take a look. Where is this? Let's drop a pin. Looks like it's at 32 degrees, 45 minutes, and it's at 114 longitude. So 32 and 114 is where that chapel is. Thanks for that. All right. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to let you get to your weekend. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back probably Monday, unless something pressing shows up tomorrow. I love each and every one of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care and be safe.